So the other day I was watching a video here on YouTube and they were talking about hunting with 300 blackout subsonic ammunition. And the guy was saying that 300 blackout doesn't lose a lot of energy out at range. And I didn't know that that was the case. So I grabbed my phone and I opened up my Ballistics app, and this is what I found. I went to 300 blackout subsonic. And I found that at the muzzle I'm getting 495 foot-pounds of energy. And out at 300 yards I'm getting 410 foot-pounds of energy. That's only a 17% loss in energy out at 300 yards. So I was wondering why that was, so I opened up my 300 Win Mag, which uses the exact same bullet, 210 grain Berger. And on that one, my muzzle energy is 3,734 foot-pounds. And out at 300 yards, it drops all the way down to 2,706, which is a 28% loss in energy. So I couldn't understand how the exact same bullet was losing so much energy at 300 yards with the Win Mag versus the subsonic 300 blackout. So I thought, well, I wonder what the supersonic does. Maybe it's something special about 300 blackout. So I opened up 300 blackout supersonic, and with that one I'm getting 1,224 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle, and out at 300 yards that drops all the way down to 581. That's a 53% loss in energy. So now, of course, I'm completely perplexed, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's because the bullet's lighter. 210 grain in the subsonic versus 125 grain for the supersonic is what I'm building. So I decided, okay, the lightest bullet that I load for is a 55 grain 5.56 or 223. And so I looked at that, and this is where things got really interesting, because I'm making 1,063 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. That's with a velocity of 2,950. And then out at 300 yards, I'm still making 867 foot-pounds of energy. So that really got me thinking, and it really got me wondering as to whether or not this data is correct or whether or not the calculator is wrong. It's always been pretty reliable. So now I'm completely confused, and I'm wondering if what I'm seeing on the screen is going to translate out on paper. So we went out to the range with the thought of, if we could find that zero that will take us out to 300 yards, based on the fact that when the 5.56 was first developed, it was thought to have had terminal, to be able to deliver terminal energy out to 400 yards, and then later on they dropped that down to 200 yards. So I thought, let's split the difference. 300 yards is as far out as I would want to take my AR chambered in 5.56, and see if there's a zero that we can find where we're not having to make windage adjustments or aiming high or aiming low, where we can get a shot on target from 300 yards and in. Because if you ever get in a super stressful situation, if you saw my pumpkin video, I forgot to change my windage trying to shoot a pumpkin. Imagine if we were in a SHTF situation. There's no way that I'm going to remember when to aim high and when to aim low. So I thought, man, if I could find a zero based on the fact that I'm retaining that energy, retaining that velocity, that I wouldn't even have to change windage to be able to hit a torso-sized target, that might be kind of cool. So we went out to the range, and this is what happened. So before we head out to the range, I do want to mention that we chose an 18-yard zero based on the idea that the calculator was showing at 18 yards we're going to be zeroed out, and at 300 yards we're going to drop probably 5 inches. To me, that was acceptable. So we chose that 18-yard zero. And this is what happened. Okay guys, so we're out here on the range. This is the target that we're going to be using today. I'm not going to be aiming at any of these orange dots. I'm actually going to be aiming about right here because that's kind of center mass. It's right in the middle of everything. There will be point of impact shifts, but if everything goes the way that the calculator said it was going to go, we should hit somewhere on this torso. So let's see what happens. So this is the rifle that we're going to be using today. I've got our 20 round magazine loaded up with 5.56, and I'm going to go ahead and aim at that black dot. We're 18 yards away. So this is our 18-yard zero, and we'll move back from here. All right, let's go take a look. All right, so you can see our 18-yard zero hit right on. We're gonna go back to 50 yards now, and we'll shoot a couple from 50, see what happens. All right, we're out at 50 yards now. Let's see what happens aiming at the same spot as we were at 18. All right, let's go take a look. Okay, so just like the calculator showed, we did have a point of impact change. Went up probably 4 yards or so, but we still hit the zombie, so we're still in real good shape at 50 yards with an 18-yard zero. So let's go back to 100 and shoot a couple more. Okay, we're back out at 100 yards now. Gonna aim at the same spot, see where we hit. All right, that's 2 rounds. Let's go take a look. All right, so here's our 100 yard. That's a little bit higher than I'd like. Of course, in this case, it's still a hit the guy in the neck. But yeah, I would have liked for them to be a little bit lower. So yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. We'll go ahead and go out to 200 and 300 and see. But yeah, still a hit, I guess. So let's go out to 200, see what happens. So we're back out at 200 yards. Got the 20 round magazine loaded up with 2 more rounds. One thing for sure, so this is not a tuned load. I have it tuned with the EC tuner brake, and we're getting all the vertical that we would expect to get moving out. But did you notice it's pretty much a straight line? We don't have a lot of horizontal at all. So way to go, EC tuner brake again. All right, let me go ahead and get these in the rifle, and let's see what happens out at 200 yards with an 18-yard zero. All right, let's go take a look. So that scope that I have on there is it's a 6-24. I don't normally use a 6-24 on an AR. I usually use a 1-6. But at these longer ranges, I knew I was going to want a little more magnification. So I have that 6-24, and at 200 yards, there's no way I could see that little tiny dot. I just had to aim in between the 2 orange dots, just slightly higher than the bottom dot, right about where I imagined that black dot was. So I can't imagine what it'd be like using a 1-6. But that being said, basically at those kinds of distances, you're aiming at the blue thing, you know what I mean? So just having that little bit of extra precision for this test has been helpful. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens at 300. Okay, so looks like at 200 yards, we actually just caught him right on top of the head there with one. I'm not sure where the second one went. Based on how everything's been going, we've been hitting right, obviously at 18 yards. They've stacked right on one on top of the other. At 50 yards, we were a little tall. At 100 yards, we were a little taller. So I'm guessing at 200 yards, maybe this second one literally went off. So it's possible at this aim point here, it's probably aiming right at the sternum. So let's go see what it does at 300 yards. I'm wondering if maybe the strategy of zeroing at 18 yards wouldn't work better, aiming maybe right about the stomach, because at 18 yards you'd hit here, and then at 50 yards you're probably going to hit here, and at 100 yards, and then at 200 yards would be a headshot. So anyway, we're going to continue with this aim point here out at 300 yards. We'll go ahead and wrap this up with that, and then we may look at 25 yard zero, or 23 was another one that I was looking at. So maybe we would look at a 23 yard zero and see what it does out at 200 yards. Anyway, let's go do the 300 and we'll get this wrapped up. Okay, final round, 300 yards. 2 more rounds loaded up. Let's go ahead and shoot this and see what happens. Ears on. Okay, let's go take a look. So, looking at the target, I don't see the 300 anywhere. So that's a little bit puzzling. This, I was just about expecting. That was not expected. And then not being able to find the 300 is really puzzling. So I'm wondering if maybe those loads were a little bit hotter than I was expecting, because this is higher than I expected to go 1850 and then 100 to be higher than that. 200 I thought was going to fall in pretty close here, and then 300 should have been working its way back down. So probably what we're going to have to do is chrono those rounds, see if maybe they're a little bit hotter than I had plugged into the calculator. It's kind of the only thing that's making any sense to me right now. So we'll get some chronograph numbers on those rounds and see if they're hotter. If they are hotter, we may have to redo this and just we'll put the results on the end of this video, I guess. So yeah, that's not at all what I was expecting, not at all what the calculator said to expect. So it's possible that those rounds are just hotter than I had anticipated. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this part up here. And like I said, if anything changes, we'll just tag it at the end of this video. Thanks for watching. As it is right now, let's not zero our ARs at 18 yards. And let's wait, just keep your AR zeroed at whatever you had it zeroed until we get this worked out. Because I don't think this is what was supposed to happen or should have happened by any sort of conventional wisdom. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Yeah, they're definitely flying over the head, but our chronograph readings are right. Average is 2952 in the numbers that I had registered. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so 2952, and I had 2950 entered in. So yeah, don't know, but I could definitely see him. I moved my aim, just aiming at something out there so I could see the splash. And based on the markings on my scope, yeah, they're actually definitely selling overhead. So I don't know if maybe my Ballistics app has the wrong, ballistics data for Bob's bullets or something. Anyway, I don't think this is over yet. We may have to adjust the 0 point. We may have to adjust the ballistics for Bob's bullets, and then adjust our zero distance from there. So anyway, I'll keep working on it, and I'll show you guys what happened at the end of the video. All right, guys, so we're back out on the range a couple seconds later for you, a couple days later for us. It's quite a bit colder and quite a bit windier today. So we just wanted to get out here real quick and get this video wrapped up. So we went back to the drawing board. We couldn't quite figure out what had happened, but we re-looked at everything, and we decided to do a 28-yard zero. And we're much happier with the results. The target has already been shot, so we're going to just look at these results and get this video wrapped up. Here is where we re-zeroed at 28, so you can disregard those. This was a flyer that happened while we were trying to get things set up, and because it's quite a bit windier, the wind kind of blew our target out of the staple, so we retaped it there. That's why that tape is there. But let's go ahead and get into these results here. So we were still aiming here. We kept this as our aim point. We did use a different pen so that we could keep all of our shots separate. This is where we hit at 50 yards. Right here is where we hit at 100 yards. Here is where we hit at 200 yards. Here is our 300-yard hits. And so if you're using an AR for home defense, you're probably going to have to do some work inside of a room. There's obviously that possibility. Like I said, I use a 1:6 LPVO on my AR. If you're using anything that doesn't have a 1x power, say you're using a 3-9 or maybe a 6-24, you're using a longer range scope, it'll absolutely work with this setup. But what you might consider is canting off at a 45-degree angle a separate red dot, and you can zero that at in the room distances, and if you're out at 25 yards or more, you can switch your optics. So that's another option. I like the 1:6 at 300 yards, 6 power. You can see this blue target, or whatever you're actually shooting at. If you're not just shooting at blue targets, zombies or whatever, you can see it with 6 power. It's not quite as nice as if you're zoomed in at 20 or so, but you can absolutely see it. You can absolutely send love that direction if you needed to, and so 1:6 is just perfect. It's my favorite setup. So anyway, I don't know if I pointed out that, I don't think I did, but these are in the room. I was aiming here, of course, and we hit here. So man, if you're in the room and you're aiming here, you're probably going to hit here. if you're aiming here, you're probably going to hit here. So yeah, man, I'm pretty happy with the results. The 18 yard was kind of a nightmare. I mean, we had 200 and 300 were just flying over the target. I just think that 18 yards is probably just way too close. Another thing, last but not least, 25 yards and 250 yards are going to be the same. So you may consider getting on paper at 25 yards, 28 yards or so, and then just go out to 250 and re-verify. Our 200 yards hit here, and so our 250 probably would have hit, you know, obviously here. So I'm pretty happy with because we zeroed right exactly dead nuts with the rangefinder, 28 yards on this target here, and we were happy with that. But you just, before you ever need to use that rifle, you may consider going out to 250 and just re-verifying that zero. So come in at 28, zero at 28, go out at 250, and you should be hitting right around the exact same mark wherever your zero was. So I'm gonna say that's gonna wrap it up for us today. Thank you so much again for watching this video. We really appreciate it. If you've got any comments, we love to hear your comments. If you think this is the stupidest thing you've ever heard, I'd really like to know why, because man, I'm not the expert by far, and if you've got better ideas, this is about defending myself and my family. If you have better ways for us to do it, I would really appreciate you leaving a comment down below. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.